Alright, here I am. Let me give this a little bit. So, let's turn that down a little bit. Tonight's topic is not going to be a nice one. I'm not going to be nice about this one. And this is also a topic that is something I'm not taking lightly, even though it's something a little bit minuscule and can be seen as like how do I put this? Just too gullible and not knowing, or just trying to make someone seem like, oh, I know what I'm talking about. I am a teacher about this stuff. I know what I'm talking about. I know. To kind of blow up that I am important kind of a feeling. Yeah, this one's not gonna be a nice one because don't get me wrong. There's this there's always a time in somebody's life where somebody wants to be seen as looked up to, seen as an authority figure, or seen as somebody who's all okay. I know what I'm talking about. Oh, he does. Let's believe him. Everybody's been in that position. And there's nothing wrong with that. But however, there is an issue when you're being like that and you're not giving out right information and you're misguiding people and misinforming. Probably the best example that I have. Now, don't get me wrong, some of the stuff, and if you want to take a look at what I'm talking about, look at the thumbnail of this video or live stream, whatever the bloody heck this is, and then just take a look at it. Now, don't get me wrong, some of the words listed with there, some are correct, some are completely no. And hell does not look like that. She doesn't have angel wings, and she doesn't have a crisp, burnt wing. She doesn't have a horn on her head. Want to know what she looks like? Here. Hold on, Cupcake. Hold on, Milkshake. Now, this is one of the ways she's depicted. This is one of them. That's what she looks like in one of the depictions. The other, the side that's dead, is actually pitch black, casted in shadow. She doesn't have wings. She doesn't have angel wings. She doesn't have brimstone crisp wings either. She doesn't have a horn on her head. I'll put her back. And I'm covering about hell first because, well, for one, hello, Adam. Now, I don't consider myself a figure that is like considering himself an authority or anything that's making me be all like egotistically above. But the thing is, this thing completely whiffs really about what hell's about. Because looking at the thumbnail, I'm going to pull it up on my phone, so give me a second. Then we can go through this thing together. So, the thumbnail, which looks like this. See if you can see it. The thumbnail, which looks like, well, you can't really tell because of the glare. So the thumbnail says hell. Okay. And like I said a few seconds ago, that depiction of hell, here, that way, if you're watching now, you can see. That depiction of her is not accurate. In fact, it completely whiffs it. Hell does not have an angel wing, and she doesn't have a charcoaly burnt crisp wing, like burnt chicken meat. She does not have that. And she does not have a horn on her head. Hello, Lissy. She's not horned. If anything, one side of her is revealed in light or seen as beautiful, while the other, table flipping right now, while the other is either encased in darkness, like shrouded in darkness, or is actually a rotting corpse, which is completely dead weight. And it doesn't, and it's like dead weight to her, and she limps with it. She does not look like the best of both worlds from heaven or hell. No pun intended. So the words associated based on this thing, and this is actually the thing that made me just go, oh, look at this. Somebody who thinks they know what they're talking about. Not really. So hell. Associations supposedly. Ice. That's correct. Point being. Norse mythology. Well, where the Norsemen were. Up north. Where it's cold. Freezing. And that's pretty much represented death. If you cannot fend yourself in the ice and the snow and the frost and the cold, you wouldn't make it. But specifically also in Norse mythology and part of Helheim, Hell does have authority of a spot within regarding Helheim called Niflheim, which which so happens to also be extremely, if not identical, to the very last circle of hell in Dante's Inferno called the Circle of Treachery, where supposedly Lucifer is encased in ice at the waist. I know that was not a bit, but still, she does have dominion over that. But also, ice does represent death in the Norse tradition. Now we go and start face palming. Next word, fire. No, hell has nothing to do with fire. She's not a pyro. She's not a fire divine. Not even close. And before somebody says, well, what about hellfire? No. Hellfire, no. And if somebody wants to chime in and be all like, well, according to this, hell actually had some places where there were like people burning and stuff like that. No. If anything, that's actually the Abrahamics pretty much poisoning and afflicting and completely bastardizing. I'm using that word correctly. The traditional Norse belief of how it was. They butchered it and pretty much changed things around for their liking. And besides, fun fact, the hell that we have today is not the first hell. But people that are trying to spread all this information about hell and thinking that they knew what they're talking about, but they probably didn't even know that either. This hell is not the first hell. Well, but still. And hell, again, has nothing to do with fire. The closest you're going to get is probably Balder or Sol. That's probably the closest you're going to get. Or even Loki, too. But not hell. I'm just making my oil blend real quick because I'm going to probably have to, get this place a little calmed down because I'm trying so hard not to, screech like a harpy about to attack. Like literally screech. But anyway, next point. Planet. Like hell is related to Pluto. Well, and also this is coming from somebody who practices both Western and Vedic astrology and actually does know how the planet behaves and what it does. No. What's Pluto? A little shithead. What happens when Pluto comes around? Decimates. Completely disrupts and makes things drastically transform. Like an explosion. Pluto's a little shithead. He's like the little runt of the litter and wants to be just like everybody else. But when he tries to do something that somebody else is doing, he completely whiffs it or does something so overkill that in pretty much causes damage. And there has to be something done to fix it, or something has to drastically change because of it. Hell, for one, she doesn't. Hell is not destructive. She's actually, to believe it or not, she actually much rather mankind and existence go through its natural living state, meaning that from birth all the way to death, just for it to play out step by step by step by step. What other planet is organized, structured, and goes through a set routine? I wonder who else that could be. It's me, you idiot! Saturn. There you go. And yes, of all the planets, Hell is the most energetically close to Saturn. And I mean, I have a huge Dean's list why. Quite a big one. So, Saturn. What do we know about Saturn? First of all, he's rebellious. Hell, believe it or not, was not rebellious, to be honest. She actually. Let me get my diffuser going. She never really was defiant or pushed back against anything regarding Odin or anything along the sorts. So first off, rebellious, that's Saturn. So second, Saturn is also the one who limps because he's the most slowest. If we're going with Vedic. What about Hell? Remember what I said earlier? Hell. Part of her is in light, alive. The other is encased in shadow or dead. She walks with her whole other side that's not in the light like dead weight. She limps. Next one. What is Saturn known as? A servant. What does Hell do down in the underworld with her dead? She moves non-stop, caretaking to every single one of them. Servitude. That's the same for both. Saturn is also representing ice too, so there's that too. Saturn is also cold, like cold in emotion, meaning that he doesn't really care about emotions and feelings. Hell is not that she doesn't care, it's that she's more detached, like Saturn, and is trying to be realistic with it, being realistic with emotions. Now, with that in mind, Saturn is the one that's giving point blank reality. Like, this is what's going to happen if you're being stupid still. And there's Hell, the same thing. Like, say if you're dating a guy that's just horrible for you, you go and ask her for advice, she's going to tell you, drop him. Point blank. But I don't want to drop him. Okay, you'll get beaten up then, you stupid broad. But not like that, though. As a general idea. I mean, she'll just tell you point blank. If you don't do this, this is what's going to happen. She's not saying that to crush you. She's saying because that's just what it is. And it's not she's doing it to be cruel. As some people say, well, she's cruel and heartless. Well, for Saturn, for Shani, well, simple. I mean, when he wasn't getting attention from Jaya, he kicked her. She turned and then just whacked his leg, and now he has a permanent limp. And the best way to learn is to be told, this is the truth, take it. Shani, Saturn. When Saturn was not getting attention from Chaya, which was essentially the stepmother, because Surya slept with Chaya, which was his wife's shadow, and when Shani and Yama were born, she was paying attention to Yama, and Shiny was getting jealous because he wasn't getting any care. He kicked her, and then she turned around and was like, "Oh, really, my child?" Crippled him. That's why he walks with a limp. The more you know, right? Now, back to business. Let's see, what else is another one? Saturn's also a planet that's very committed and does his obligation, responsibility, commitment, duty, and sacrifice. What about Hell? Okay. Hell took a vow in front of Odin, in front of all the other divines up in Asgard, and said, "Whomever dead comes to me, regardless of their background, whoever they are and where they came from, no matter who it is, I will attend to them to the best of my abilities for the rest of their time down there." Hell actually is actually not really a part of Virgo. Because Virgo, even though I can see it with Hasta, working with the hands, it also Hasta is related to healing. But the issue, though, with that, um, Purva Falguni, no. And Chitra, no. But I'll get to the sign in a moment. Um, Saturn again, actually Hell. Since she made that vow to serve every and any dead that comes to her, that's what she does. She's so strict and follows that to the T so intensely that even when Ragnarok's about to happen and she has to pick a side, if she could, she would say, "You know what? You two can do about this. I'm going to go back to my dead and take care of them." But because she can't do that, she has to choose. So she only chooses her father because that's her father. That's it. And she has to do it. If she could make her choice, she would say, "Dad, Odin, Allfather, you two handle it. I don't want anything to do with this." She'd rather do her responsibility and obligation instead. So, planetary wise, the best one, and actually funny enough, in case if you were interested, but still, I love this paper. This is my own book about hell. And hell is also my matron deity, by the way. This is the book that's I published and I wrote myself. And I don't know if the line's gonna pick it up. But if you can tell on the cover, right down the center, you can see one side on one side, and then the other side right there. This side right here, that's me. That is me on that side. The other side is actually an image of hell. This is me on this side. And I have 2 books written. So, let's switch back a little bit. Okay. Associated planets. Saturn is the primary. Moon. And Pluto, yes, but Pluto is probably the least heavy and the least one that's fitting. Because Pluto is chaotic. Hell is not chaotic. Moon, because that's caretaking and nourishment. Saturn, duty and servitude. Next point. Scorpio. Actually, wait a minute, I skipped it. Death. Okay, that's vague. What part of death? Like death as in doing the killing blow? Death to guiding the passed on to the underworld? Death to actually caretaking to the passed on? Death to reincarnating them? What? Death of what? A part of death. Oh, I am. Because I mean, I've been working alongside her more than 5 years. Yeah, 5 years consistently still. So with Hell, she doesn't actually cause any of the killing blows at all. In fact, to her, she looks at it as like, it's not my job to tell somebody that they have to go. They go when it's, I don't have time to kill people. I don't have time for that crap. Like she's that direct. So death, pretty vague, but she doesn't cause the ending blow. Next, Scorpio as the zodiac sign. No. What's Scorpio? Scorpio, assassinations, sexual intimacy, transformation. Pretty much is also one of the karmic signs. Tragedy, the occult, secrecy, affairs, darkness, overkill, destruction, and also even stalking. Also commitment and devotion too. But again, hell really doesn't have emotion. She's compassionate, like she cares, but she doesn't have emotions. She shows concern. She provides. And she does it because of a duty and an expectation and maintaining her obligation she chose to take. Giving care to something because of an obligation and serving, that's Capricorn and Aquarius, which again is owned by Saturn. And this was also on WitchTok. Like, this is something I'm taking kind of a little bit like not lightly. So much to the point that I'm really tempted to actually just get on TikTok and be like, so this. Now, this is not hell, and whoever think this is hell, I'll take you to boot camp and I'll teach you about it. Both hells, because there's two. There's the first hell, and now the hell that we are blessed with right now. The first hell, believe it or not, is nowhere as near responsible and committed and even more concerned about the dead than this one that we have. The first hell, pretty much, she had the domain and was kind of, best put it, not really cared. A jail in the afterlife, well, it depends, because if you're considering like a holding cell, it would have to be something similar to Tartarus, to be completely honest. But then again, when it comes to the afterlife, that's going to be a long thing to explain. But the afterlife it really depends on what you believe it's going to be. Tartarus is actually seen as a primordial entity, like Nyx, which is the primordial goddess of the night, and kind of very similar to Lilith in classification of divinity. Primordial means it's essentially something that is essentially one of the core foundations of existence. Primordial. For Nyx, the night sky, the dark. Yeah, we kind of need that, because what's the dark? Pretty much the blackness that holds everything. But where did the dark come from? The void. What's the void? Chaos. And essentially how Homer said it, from chaos came Nyx. From chaos and things of sudden unpredictability came the night. The dark. Where everything else fell into place and is being held. That's primordial. Gaia is primordial. Because, point being, that existed as one of the core foundations. It can be. It can be. And silence. Space is also darkness. Like the space, outer space, everything that is not light, everything surrounding a light source, that is the dark. Without the dark, nothing would be held in place. You see the point I'm getting at? We need the dark. Without it, we don't have anything holding us together or holding things in place. Because we only had light. Great. Well, we can't even tell what's around us because there's no separation. You need it. There we get back on point. So Scorpio as the zodiac sign. No. Capricorn and Aquarius. Capricorn because of the duty, commitment, and servitude, and discipline, and maintaining order, structure. Because in order to caretake to a whole mass of people, you need to be organized. You need to be structured. Believe it or not, Helheim is also like a giant soup kitchen. You're serving a mass amount of people. The unprivileged. That's Capricorn. And that's also Saturn. Aquarius. That's the collective. Like networks of people from everywhere. That's Aquarius. Do I dare say more? Samhain. As a friend of mine, David, pointed out, Samhain is not Nordic. Well, Capricorn, yes, branches of government, yeah. But the thing is that Hell doesn't rule with an iron fist. She doesn't rule like that. Because the thing she's more concerned about is like, okay, I have my people. I'm taking care of them. I don't got time for this. Like, I'm a queen. Bow before me. That's not her demeanor. In fact, did you know? Probably not, but still. Believe it or not, when it comes to a passed on going over to the other side, yeah, I know, but still. With Hell, though, no, her name's Hel, not the double L. When it comes to like when a warrior gets slain in battle, and a Valkyrie comes to take them to Valhalla, believe it or not, if Hell wanted to, she could immediately appear and go, "Drop it, fairy," and they would have to let go of him. They would have to release that spirit, and then Hell would take them. If she wanted to, but she doesn't. Because she doesn't have time to be doing that. She'd rather stay where she's at and carrying out her committed obligation that she chose to take. She doesn't have time to be acting like that. But she has the power to. But how does she get it? Odin himself gave it to her. He gave it to her himself by his own word. Next point. Samhain. That's pretty much more of a Celtic tradition. And Celtic and Norse, that's not the same. Similar, but not the same. Darkness. Believe it or not, Helheim, if you go outside when it's like dusk, congratulations, that's how Helheim looks outside. When it's dusk. That's Helheim, that's how it looks. It looks like it's like Earth, but it's more dimmer. Not the darkness. All the way. Judgment. Okay, judgment. Believe it or not, Hell doesn't judge anybody. Anybody that comes to her, she doesn't care about what wrongs they did, what good things they did. If they killed anybody, if they slaughtered so many children, she doesn't care. In fact, she's just like, dead person, come this way. I'll take care of you. She doesn't care. She doesn't judge anybody. If somebody's passed on and they go to her, she takes them in. She doesn't ask questions. Now, I have yet to hear about another deity besides Satanus. Nyx is another one. I'm really trying to think of others, but right now, those are the three that pop in my head. Well, technically also Shukracharya and Lucifer Guru at the same time. Those ones, the ones I just mentioned, those are the very few divine figures that I can think of that accept everybody. without question, as they are. There are very few divines that can do that. Very few. Not saying it to be making me sound like, ooh, must be rare. No. Because the thing is, divine entities and spirits and astral beings, they all have their likes and dislikes, pros, cons, favors and unfavors. They all do. But when it comes to hell, if it involves a human being that comes to her that's passed on, she doesn't care. Are you a passed on person? Come this way then. Doesn't ask questions. Because it's part of her vow. That's what she does. She doesn't have time to be judging people. She doesn't have that time to do that. The afterlife. Yes. And believe it or not, the afterlife, at least with hell, it doesn't just pertain to people, it also pertains to animals and plants. Well, I have not. Personally, I have not. But the only thing that I can say, to the best of my ability, I've always accepted both my significant other and my biological mother, no matter what. Of course, they've agitated me, but still, I have not ever turned them away. And I'm not gonna. Because I look at it as like, here, give me a shotgun and let me blow off my own foot. That's pretty much what I'd be doing. Blowing off my own foot. And no, I don't want to do that. Next part. Shadow work. That one's probably the most correct out of all of them. But why? When you go and interact with Hell, or first start working with her, as soon as you come into contact with her, immediately what you're going to see is either one side, the light, and one side, the dark, or the decaying side, the beauty or the decayed corpse. If you're not in peace with yourself and accepting and willing to let go of something that you're holding on to, and you're holding it yourself to it in the most cruel and pretty much unhealthy way, you're going to see more of the grotesque death side come towards you. The side that's the most limp. That'll be coming towards you the most and the most prevalent. But if it's the other way around, you'll see more of the light side. But with Hell, when you're trying to work with her to actually get the lighter side all the way through, that because she's deflecting your deepest being back to you. If you want to push that over on that side to get all the way to the light, Hell will be more than happy to show you all the dark side and shove it in your face. And as soon as you try to run away and get away from it, she surrounds you with it. And she makes you deal with it. She traps you in it. Not to be cruel, but to have you face it to finally get rid of it. And she won't stop until you get over it. She doesn't do it to be cruel. She's doing it because she understands that that has to be done in order for you to get past it once and for all. Eh. Are you familiar with the game Hellblade? Senua's Sacrifice? Because if you're not familiar with that, I'll link like a video of where actually Hell's in that game, believe it or not, too. Well, here, let me give you a link to it. So give me a second. I'm gonna roll that down so I don't get a copyright strike, God forbid. So I'm gonna do this over here. And while we're talking about Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, I have to say, out of every Norse game that's referring about hell or every kind of depiction of hell in a video game, Hellblade has got to be the most accurate, the most precise, and the best representation of hell to date. Nothing comes close to that. Nothing. And also Hellblade also shows hell in her at like her character too at the same time. I don't care if whatever the heck your name is. I don't care sportsbook. Escuchi or Tushi. Scooch is over though. Too far. So wait a minute. Please hold while your request is being processed. Where the bloody? Oh, there it is, right in front of my face. So yeah, that does make sense, but with Hell, if you try to face off against her to resist, it's not gonna do anything. She's still gonna face it. Face it. She doesn't stop. But I'm gonna share a link to the last, like in Hellblade, the fight against Hell herself. But the thing is, not just to spoil it, no matter how long you fight against her, no matter how long you go, one, you cannot hurt her. Yes, you can. So that way you can get an idea. You can't kill Hell, you can't hurt her, and that the last fight, you keep going, and it does not stop. You keep going and going and going until you either one, get killed, or two, you lay down the controller and surrender. That's the only way. There, you cannot win. And at the ending, like when you get defeated, right all the way at, if you want to skip through all that, like, seeing the fighting happen, but let me see. Come on, load you bloody thing. Yep. At 16 minutes, in the 16-minute mark, right there, that's when you'll actually see when the main character does actually legit. That's how shadow work is. And Hell is looking right at her, not even flinching, not even moving, and listening. And what nakshatra in Capricorn is all about listening? Shradavana. Hell listens. She doesn't move. She doesn't do anything. She only moves when the main character says, "You have no power over me." As soon as she says that, she has gotten past all this trauma that she's faced on this whole game. And as soon as she says that, Hell grabs her and takes that part of her, the part that's traumatic, that part of her, and kills it. Leaves it on the ground to die. And as soon as she falls, the main character, you'll see a male figure, and that's the reason why she actually pursued to find the entrance to Hell and plead with Hell to get her lover back. But as soon as she listens to what he has to say, Hell actually goes over, picks up her lover's decapitated head, picks it up, turns, walks over to the edge, and while she's looking down and actually crying about it because this character, the main character, put herself all of this for this one person, but now because this trauma has to be let go in order for Senua to actually live on and move forward, Hell picks it up, falls to her knees, and says probably the best line I can even think of regarding with Hell and what she's about. She says it, she reaches out her hand and drops it off a cliff, and immediately after the head falls, it comes back up, then you see Senua, the main character, looking right at you and says, "Goodbye, my love." But it was Hell who dropped it. Symbolically, that's shadow work. The head, she's letting go of the trauma, getting past it once and for all. But now, if you noticed where Hell was, it being Senua, now the main character, if you look back over where the once was Senua was, is now Hell. Because at that point, Hell has done her job. She has pushed her past the trauma, and the main character has surpassed it. She doesn't have it anymore. So Hell is defeated, metaphorically, meaning that she has no other need to assist Senua anymore, because she helped her get past the trauma. That's the point of that ending. People don't seem to understand it because symbolically it is intense. It's deep. That's what Hell's about. She takes you to your depth and rips it out of you and says, face it, accept it, deal with it. That's it. You cannot do anything more about it. There's nothing else you can do. Let go. And she doesn't do it because she wants you to suffer and being cruel. No. She does it because she knows that has to be done for your best. I have yet to even Shukracharya is more about being pleasant. Shukracharya would not be able to do that. Satanas would be able to do that. And there's very few that could even do that because it's so difficult. But still. Yep, I know it's intense. But that's Hell at her deepest. The depths of her. And we were talking shadow work. That is real shadow work. Going to your depths and ripping out trauma, looking at it and say, you have no power over me, and getting it out of you and thrown away. That is real shadow work. And people saying, let's do your shadow work. Like it's pretty much just like throwing two words around. Protection of children. Vaguely, very vague. But pretty much, if a child was born and they didn't survive, Hell actually was known to personally go and guide that and pick up the child's spirit and take him to Helheim. Because the child doesn't know where to go, doesn't know what to do. Because it's an infant. So Hell goes, carries them back. So, at least that's my, correction of that headache. But see, that's how intense it is. And like all of those beings. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, if you notice like the apparitions that are coming at her in the game, each one of those apparitions is actually an enemy that Senua had killed. All of them come back chasing right after her. Because she killed them. And she feels guilty of killing people and killing others. It's intense. But it's a masterpiece. And it pushes for mental health awareness. Strongly. A lot. Keep that in mind. And I mean, if I could, and if I was able to, I would actually write to Team Ninja and say, I don't even know how to say thank you. Because literally, the way that Hell's presented and the symbolism and how the story is and how you depicted her in your game was flawless. Because that's precisely that's exactly her demeanor. Precisely. And the second Hellblade, Hellblade 2, I don't remember the full title, but I mean, I don't know if Hell's in that one, but what I can say, the first Hellblade was a masterpiece. Masterpiece. Yep, it is. A video game. I saw that. And Hellblade is also a game that could be done in VR. It can be played VR, but it's not really first person. It's actually like over the shoulder. But Hellblade is a masterpiece. It perfectly depicts Hell precisely how she is. Both like how she's depicted, like in the model, but also how the character in the game actually behaves. And throughout the game, you can also notice how Hell confronts Senua sometimes and pushes her back. That's Hell grabbing her and say, "Let go of the shadow. Let go." But Senua doesn't listen until she gets in front of Hell where she's at, where Hell is at. Gets all the way up to her and keeps pushing and fighting to just get her love back. And no matter how much she tries, hello, Kendra. Yay, Kendra's here. Oh, I mean, I don't know if you heard like my big spiel about Hellblade and Hell. I mean, because oh, I like literally took to the depths myself and put it out. What happens in the end of Hellblade? Well, the part where Hell picks up her lover's head after Hell kills off the part of trauma that was attached to Senua and kills it. She picks up her lover's head, looks at it, and starts crying on both sides and weeps. Yeah. And as she's looking at it, she turns, walks to the edge of like the wreckage of a ship, and when she falls to her knees, below her is like an endless pit. She's looking right at the decapitated head and just saying, "I'm gonna try so hard to remember this fire." Because I've seen it so many times. I'm gonna try and recall it from memory. Never forget, never forget to have the viewpoint of a child, Senuma. Every autumn leaf, like a work of art. Every cloud a moving picture. Every day a new story. We two emerge from this magic like a wave from the ocean, only to return to the sea. And as soon as she says all that, Hell reaches out, drops the head, letting go. And that's Senua letting go, because that other part of her's dead. And as the game pans down to watch the head go, it pans back up, and now you see Senua looking right at you, just like, oh. And she just says, "Goodbye, my love." She stands back to her feet and then Hell puts in her mind, "Do not, do not fear, like the crashing of the waves or something along those lines. The trees and the clouds. The beauty of this world never leaves us. It's always there, waiting to be seen again." That's deep. The beauty of this world never leaves us. It's always there, just waiting to be seen again. And internalizing it, you come to realize the beauty within, as soon as you reconnect to that, you start seeing it all over the place outside. And if you want to, you can actually watch to the very end. And I think, let me see if I can get a specific timestamp that way you can actually click on it. But what do you mean something went wrong? That's shenanigans. No. Here. That's a bunch of BS. Get over here. I would play it myself, but the thing is that, copyright's a bit of a problem, and I don't want to get, spear thrown at me. And like what I was saying too, like as soon in the video game when Hell, um, like when you actually let go or if you get defeated, like you drop the controller and stop playing, and you let the the apparitions kill you, or you keep going until you can't go anymore. That's actually when Hell actually picks up the sword that the main character was using, just walks to her. Here, here. I'll even grab my own sword to give a good general impression. Here, give me this thing. So, say for an example, you have this thing. Get out of the way, chair. So, like this is the sword, for instance. Scooch up a little bit. So, all that Hell does, and keep in mind the main character's on the ground. Hell just walks slowly, bends down, picks up the blade, turns, walks towards her, gets on one knee, and doesn't say a word. And the whole time, Senua is just saying everything how she feels, every emotion, feeling, it all comes out. From even questioning her own sanity, saying, if you're not the one who killed him, then you never took him, did you? And no matter what I do, I can't save him. And she starts weeping. Then that's when she goes crying to laughing like a maniac, saying, you expect me to believe that after all you put me through? I know you have him, and I'm going to get him back from you. I know you have him. Then she falls back down to her knees again, like she falls back down, holding on to her lover's decapitated head again, and starts weeping again. And Hell again. She's still looking down, doesn't say a word, and just lets Senua just let it all out. And as she's still weeping, Senua then does say the line, something. Oh, I forgot this in the beginning. At the beginning, she's trying to barter with Hell to release her lover's soul. So she's saying, like, I'll do anything. I'll fight alongside you with Ragnarok. And if you know Hell, if she could, she would rather not even get involved. But nonetheless, so Hell is still looking down at her, not saying a word. And Senua says, well, you're going to have to kill me because there's nothing left for me. I have no reason to live. You're going to have to kill me because I got nothing left. No fear, no quest, no ambition, nothing. And then that's when it clicks on the inside. And the main character looks up at Hell and says, you have no power over me. And that's when Hell grabs her, kills that part of her, the traumatized. Kills it, and then that's how the ending plays out. I don't want to really spoil all that, but I just told you like the whole ending. He got taken because, well, the thing is, let me see if I can pull up the correct page. Well, like the part that I'm going to be sharing right now, it's going to be at the timestamp 23 minutes, 30 seconds. And this is the part where Hell is walking and she's at the side of the part that we were believing to think, oh, that's Senua. Hell killed her. But then watch how the scene plays out. And on my Instagram, like a long time ago, let me see if I can pull it up. Because I know I posted this on my Instagram many times. Like every year in January, I always post it. Or something related to it every year. Because that's like the anniversary of her and my first connecting and all that. Let's see. This probably might be a little ways down. And just scroll all the way to the bottom. I've done the van. I'm having a hot flash over here. Okay. Come on. Where's this thing? Well, it's only 5 seconds, so it's not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna get copyright strike for like 1 second, but still. Okay, let's see if I can get this thing on.
Only suffering brings salvation. It is the way of the gods.
Yeah, and that's the part when you actually meet hell face to face, and then you go off and you try and get the lover back. And I mean, I could have showed the whole thing here, but there's no words. It's like the part before the speech, but still. Yeah, and it even gets me a little teary too. You did right. I mean, you can't really see them right now because the stupid brightness ruined it. Yep. But I mean, that's really how hell is, and she does it because she chooses to. Like, she chooses to be the way that she is by choice. If she wanted to, she could act tyrannical, but she doesn't. She instead chooses to do what's best for whomever comes towards her to try and better the self. Even though she takes it like all the way to the extreme, she has probably one of the highest tolerances to the probably the most disturbing parts to a human psyche. She can withstand like literally anything and she's not going to flinch. And that is intense. And she doesn't have any agenda to it. Like, she doesn't do any bribery. That's just what she does. And she knows that that's the only way for somebody to progress. By being able to take the trauma and not say, "Oh, it's okay." No, take it, face it. You can't do anything about it. Accept it, let it go. Even some people would say squirrel on a very low level way of thinking. It is. But if the only way for you to get past it, you're going to have to rip off the bandage and go in there and actually fix the infection. Otherwise, it's going to keep getting infected. It's going to keep not healing properly. So you have to go in and go through a lot of pain just to completely mend it all the way. Not just put like a little bit of, like, put some water and a bandage on it. No. But that's how hell is. But now, well, it's like the first hour is a long hour-long lecture about fixing hell and kind of fixing that image of her and all that. But still, I mean, at least for me, when it comes with hell, I'm just somebody who's like uber. How do I put this? Like, I'm trying to find the right word. When it comes to hell, it's like, to best put it, like, I have like the same overprotection and like Mars and Cancer kind of protection. Now, if you know Mars and Cancer, Oh, that placement Mars is like pissed off. The you have a man from 300, a Spartan warrior, and now you're putting him in the kitchen. And then housewives come up, take away his spear and shield and his helmet, put on a chef's hat for him, have him put on a cute little apron to cover his mankini. He has a rolling pin and a cookie sheet, and now the housewives are joined hand in hand, making a circle and skipping in a circle, going, "Hey, brother, pour the wine, drink and drink the drink that I have made. Hey, brother, pour the wine." Yeah. And Mars is stuck in the middle. Like, what does this? But he cannot act out because he's in the home and he has to play the mother role. That's Mars in Cancer. But Mars in Cancer, if somebody who they deem family or somebody that's really important to them, a Mars in Cancer will snap and will completely shred someone to the point not only on the physical but also the mental and emotional level. Like, yeah, pretty overkill. And I mean, I feel like that towards my significant other and hell. Like, and I mean, I just can't help it. That's just my nature. But for me, I don't like it when people misinform about my deity and think, oh, I know about her. No. Like, I can also understand some correlations, yes. And I mean, I do appreciate the attempt, but some things not so much. Because as the hell, the goddess, she doesn't really have association with fire. Ice, yes, because of Niflheim. Pluto is probably the weakest planetary association. Saturn and the Moon are the most prevalent. What's another one? Um, she does have the duality, which I can see in the image, but she's not. She doesn't have an angel wing and you know, a burnt wing. Um, I like what I said about death. Well, it depends. What aspect of death? The killing blow, the guiding, like Hecate, the the nursing or caretaking, which is hell, or the reincarnation, the judicator. That's another thing too that I mean when it comes to like looking and researching divine and entities and spirits, when they have a certain aspect of life, and actually here's a fun fact, based I mean this is also going to tie in beautifully too with Hinduism and Hindu mythology. The god figures, they weren't seen as supreme divine beings. Like, instead, they were known as what's known as a deva, and they define deva as an individual who became one who mastered, excelled, and has been consistently in that state of perfect excellence in an aspect of life. For an example, Lord Shiva is the deva of destruction, but is also the deva at the same time of dance. He's actually known as to being the one of the founders of dance in Hinduism, the Great Destroyer. Lord Lord Brahma, the Deva of creation, the one who is proficient, masters, and excels in the aspect of life regarding creation. Goddess Kali, the well, when it comes to Deva, that's just what it was known as. Deva, not Deva S, but still goddess. Yeah, that does flow too. But Goddess Kali, the same thing. The Deva of destruction. The pretty much the Maven. I rather use Maven than Master. The Maven of complete destruction. And now, when you put in like the god figure or like a goddess figure, like Aphrodite, the goddess of love, beauty, attraction, the divine, the deva of beauty, attraction, love, and beauty. A figure who masters the qualities of love, attraction, beauty, and unionship. You can even take Queen Hera herself too. Another one, the deva of motherhood, womanhood, the home, the obligations of the home, the the maven, the one who has excellency, mastery over the home and women. Women's like women's understanding, not like supreme like order and all that, but like the understanding and the qualities, if that makes sense. So that makes honestly it makes perfect sense why divine yields potentially also from deva in that regard. Because at least in a theory that I used to think a while ago, that a divine figure was once somebody who could potentially have been a human or a mortal that began to take an aspect and perfected and consistently perfected it to their level and built upon it so much that they understand it like the back of their hand flawlessly every time. But that's my theory. But with Deva, Hinduism, they see it as a figure who mastered that aspect of life, if all that makes sense. Even Satanus can be one, but now Satanus, he's a Deva of, to best put it, I would have to say the Deva of self mastery, the best put it. Because Satanus, like Saturn, is, again, but now when we talk about Satanus, he's deeply connected to one and one and himself. And it's always unique. Always unique. So how Satanus approaches somebody may not be the same for somebody else. Because Satanus prioritizes connection with him and other and growing on a personal level. Because when you grow on a personal level, you're going in a way that no coven, no big major group setting can ever do. You're working on a one, like a mentor. And that's really, I mean, to be honest, when I was learning Western astrology and when I went off to take Vedic at the same time, I had a one, my mentor Russell. That's how I learned Western astrology. One, I got like being put under the wing and guided. That's the best way to learn from a guru figure guiding you through it. And even I even consider Satanus a guru figure, to be honest. But at least for me, he does fit the idea of him being a deva of self mastery. One who masters the idea and the concept of life that pertains to self mastery. And at least that's my regard. But again, like what I said. And if Kendra already knows that whenever I talk about anything regarding Satanus or anything of the sorts, if I make a whoopsie, she knows that please just come on in and say, that's not it. And fix it. Whatever I say if I'm not correct. I'd rather that be anyway. I don't want to be misinforming. I got somebody did with this this image of her, but still. Because but as I was saying, when you're teaching and guiding other people regarding the divine, the spirits, and entities, for one, spend your time and connect with that entity to the depths of them first. As far as you can go to a point where you're comfortable and you understand. But for me, since I've gone down the left-handed path and was part of the theistic Satanism until Satanus himself came and said, "This is not your path." Until I was dismissed, I went to as far as I could go that I knew of, and I retained that. But again, now I'm not on the path, so I might be completely wrong. I may have learned something off of funny enough. Because when I say this website, people are probably gonna think, isn't that kind of like a conspiracy theory website too? Yeah, it was, but still. When I learned from Joy of Satan, That's where I got most of my information. But when it was starting to go off to UFOs and conspiracy theories, nope. I completely cut myself off from that. Focus primarily just on pretty much the material regarding the Satanism and the Lieutenant Divines, and I'm calling them that because they are divine. And who cares about an old geezer being a dope saying like, "Oh, this is a demon. It must be excommunicated." No, they held the divine title way before this old geezer with a stick thinking he saw smack came in. They're still a divine. Divine. Yeah. And I mean, if I ever say something wrong, I'd rather have someone come in, clean that up, fix my whoopsie, than nobody say anything. Because when you have the priority of maintaining a divine being's standing and their truth, when you prioritize that over your own, like, I am a guru, look at me, that not only impresses them, but it also does show to other people that you're not afraid of being wrong. And I'm not afraid of being wrong. In fact, that's how I learned to not do said whoopsie or say BS out of this mouth. I'd rather be told that I'm wrong and I'm saying the wrong thing and getting hit upside the head with a blunt object than someone being all, but this is what actually like what a real guru would do anyway. But me, I like to take it a step further, like, stop saying BS! That way I know not to do it again. But that's just me. But, like, I think we've also said this before a while ago. If you're going to be guiding people in the path of the occult or witchcraft or towards any divine being, you have to be able to answer questions and be put on the spot and be comfortable and being tested. Not because just to put you through a panel to be like, yep, he's legit, but to be able to understand that you may not have the answer, but you can then be able to step down as like the teacher, but become a student alongside your student and investigate together. Because here's the thing, and this is known as like the guru paradox. A student sees his guru as a guru, but the guru sees his student as a guru too. And you're probably thinking, isn't that kind of conflicting? Because here's the thing. The student is learning from the guru. That's like on the face value. But the guru is learning how to guide the student who doesn't know. And the student is guiding the teacher to parts where they may not even know. And they're being tested with the knowledge they have to see if they understand the question to better guide the student. So indirectly, it's like an indirect guru right there. That's that. When you have a mind like an Aquarius, like I do, I mean, you can dig to the depths and think, "Huh, that makes perfect sense," and I see it; it connects. But that takes. I mean, I've been in this field since 2010, 12 years. Lord, wow, 12 years, but still, I don't consider myself an expert. But what I will say though, when it comes to hell, I'm not new here. Both hells, for that matter. I've invested 5 years with her, and still am, and probably, actually not probably, and will be for the rest of my life because I gave that commitment, and I'm not going to take it back because for one, don't have that right because she stopped me from going to a game over screen sooner than expected, and two, she prevented probably one of the worst things I can ever think of from happening, besides, me kicking the bucket. So it's like, I have to. Not being forced to, like, you must do it, but more like equitable exchange. It saves my life and prevents damage coming to somebody who I love and care about, and they cannot go, and they may risk not being well afterwards. Preventing all of that, I have to surrender. I have to give it. I have to. And in case you didn't know, she came when I'm in my at my lowest state on her own. Never asked her. I never asked her for anything. I didn't even know she existed. She came on her own and said, "Get up." Oh, okay. Yeah. So, oh, and then there's the book again if you wanted to see it. And I know pretty much like when I talk for a period of time, I don't look at myself in like the camera reflection because it's like, why do I look so weird? But I mean, here we go. There we go. Okay. Okay. So let me take a look at the chat now because I probably neglected it. Well, I mean, for like, well, good. It's candy. But now, like for hell, I mean, oh, because I already spoke about her. But now Lilith, me personally, I feel so disgusted whenever I speak about Lilith in a way that's like a stereotype, like, oh, she's a goddess that's insert word that begins with a P R O. Yeah, not doing that. God, ugh, hate that word. Because I think if you're gonna be giving admiration to this primordial divine being, why are you insulting her with that? If anything, it's like, are you just mad because I'm getting it and you're not? I mean, I'd be mad too if I was just so boring. And even from my viewpoint, that's supposed to be like a divine goddess figure. Don't you think you would want to take care of that and caretake to that and like caretake to her and be extra careful with her as a primordial? One of the classifications of divinities that is like a pretty much a core thread of like existence. Don't you want to caretake to that like very carefully? At least that's just me. And yeah, like how in my book, which I'm actually going to revamp and really clean up a little bit more because I noticed some typos in it and add a lot more. In that book with Lilith, I mean, I read it like in a way that is strict. Like, I think probably the biggest thing that I highlighted is that if you're going towards Lilith and you want to work with her, you have to give her the right to make the choice and choose for herself. You have to give her that option. You must give her the right to choose and voice her opinion and so she can choose. Yes or no, don't matter. Whatever she chooses, you must go with it. Because when Yahweh was thinking, you must submit. Oh, and you wish, dude. Here, go take this torch and burn that, cobweb off your face. Ugh. She was denied that right to choose yes or no. She was being pushed to submit. When you give her that necessary and pretty much expected right, and I'm saying right because to me, divine beings, spirits, astral beings, they have the same equal rights as a person does. Meaning that if something comes towards you and you're not comfortable, you may speak how you feel and express how you are not comfortable with the connection. The same thing with the spirit, saying the same back to you. Both are equal. You can speak your viewpoint and your standpoint. You should. And like with Lilith, she has the same right to say, nope, run along now, child. I want nothing to do with you. She has the same right as somebody else not wanting to work with any other spirit. The exact equal right. But with her, she was denied it. So when you offer it to her, and you both hopefully do, even, beyond just etiquette, but just seeing her as an entity that deserves to be treated the same as any other, equally, that's impressive because you're giving her what she was denied. When you give her that, she notices it. She may not respond in a way that's, you know, out there, but the way that she is, And I just love it when I kind of go on and talk about this part about her. The way that she is, free spirited, she comes in randomly and wanders in randomly. So you could be just doing something completely unaware that she's there. She can just come on by and just go, what's going on here? Okay. Interesting. I'm going to go take my leave. And then a few minutes later, she comes back. Okay. That's what she does that. She's free spirited. If she sees interest in something, she checks up on it and watches it, keeps tabs on it. But one thing I can also say with her, she does not like it when somebody's sit on their tush and going, uh, because immediately she would be responding somewhat, at least in my opinion, like, so boring. There's nothing here. Come on. This is boring. I want to experience something fun, something lively, something that, you know, makes me feel alive, like Aries, the sign of Aries, how it has initiative and energy. Now, when you're lively and you're celebrating, more than likely she may come in and celebrate with you. And if you maintain the victories and you keep energizing and living by your standard, she'll come in and she'll definitely celebrate. But the minute that you misstep and you don't act that way, she's gonna go, "Oh, party's over. I'm out." Nope, you're doing that, loss of power thing again. Let me know when you're done with that stupid thing, and I'll come back and if I feel like it, if ever. That's just that's really like how she is. She doesn't want to be around something that's you're letting something else take over you. Nope, just go with it. Just go with it, hon. You know what's best. What do I know? I mean, I've only been here since chaos was here. I've only been here that long, but you know what's best. I love it when she comes in. Mm-hmm. Thank goodness. Yeah, but I mean, at least to my standards with Lilith, I hold her to a really high, I hold her to a high regard and high expectations of myself to, like, when speaking of her and talking about her and pretty much having anything given towards her. I pretty much have it to like really high regards and making sure that there's nothing like, oh, she's a baby killer. You think I'm gonna want to kill children of other women because mine were killed? No, hon, why does that make any sense? What good is it gonna do me to take another woman's child and kill them when I had my own killed in front of me from, Yahweh's pigeon men? Now, why would I want to do that? What am I going to gain out of it? Besides, thinking, oh, look at me being all ruthless. Oh, yeah, that's totally a good idea. Not. Like, for that way, this you can see. With my depiction of Lilith to the best degree that I think so far that I've seen, that. Here, let me turn that off so that the glare doesn't. A little bit more light, just a little bit. That's how I see Lilith. Somewhat like that. Like a Victorian, a little bit more like semi-Victorian style, like a queen. And if you notice too, the maidens and ladies in red, that's her hair. The red is her hair. These women is her hair. Oh no, this is actually a depiction of a Magic the Gathering card, and this one's actually Olivia, um, Bride of Innistrad, I think. I think, yeah, Bride of Innistrad. And I have to say, Olivia Volkall, if I believe that's her name, she's probably, if not the low-themed character in Magic the Gathering. And this, where'd it go? And this is also how, at least on the trading card of it, this is how is actually like how one of the artworks is. I think the original artwork, like the common artwork. This is what it looks like. Yeah, too much light. Yeah, a little bit more light. Yeah, that's what it looks. That's what it looks like. Like, the glare. But there's like the hair going. It's like that long, and I mean, there's the dress, which is like a vampiric bride dress. And if you notice, like how she's just gliding through the air blissfully and just elegantly. And I know the camera didn't pick it up, but the look on her face, if you really look at it, yep, she's actually wearing like a breastplate and and a like a like a neck guard, like right around her neck, and it's going all the way up. And also a crown. Well, that's a given. But her face on this is that she's pretty much looking over like, I know I'm a queen, and I know I'm like a bride, so sit. And believe it or not, I have to say too, when it comes to actually comparing that card with Lilith herself, that depiction of Olivia and actually that creature's effect, her effect in that on that card, is essentially whenever she attacks, whenever like she declares an attack, she can resurrect a creature from the graveyard, make it a legendary vampire, and an attack too. So pretty much put it this way. Say if you have a big monster like a demon creature in those horror Magic the Gathering. Say it's like this big like creature that's like a big like a 10 attack and 10 health, which is huge. You, Olivia swings, she resurrects it from the dead and it attacks too with her. But now here's the thing. As long as that other creature's there with her, she cannot be killed until that creature dies. So essentially, that creature becomes like her ultimate protector at the same time. But again, think of it this way. Again, next turn, Olivia can swing. She brings back something else from the dead. Now you had to kill both of them in order to kill her. And now, like the idea with Lilith, suppose like having many marriages, being married to so many beings. There you go. Whenever she goes out, she pretty much gets another mate. And that mate pretty much goes alongside her, creates something new. But with Olivia, it's like, if you're going to want to get rid of me, you're going to have to kill all 10 of these guys. Make that 11 now. And until they're gone, she cannot leave the field. You can't attack her. You cannot cause damage to her. She just sits there like, all right, husbands, go and handle this myself. Actually, you know what? All 12 of you now. That's to me, it's so hysterical because I see the parallel connection so easily. And it does make sense too, because Lilith, when I look at it this way, even though Lilith is wedded to many, I look at it as like, is she wedded because of an emotional thing, or is she wedded just to get the perks and still do whatever she wants? Because again, you got to remember, Lilith goes and does what she wants to do. The minute you try to tie her down, she turns and just goes like this and pushes you away. Yes, let's see. What's on your mind? Oh, I've been live for about an hour and 30 minutes. Holy snapple. I'm losing my voice a little. It happens. I might get in a shower after this question. What's on your mind, Lissy? I think my phone's like at 1%. Represent. Yep, 1%. Go figure. Now, here's the thing. Now, this is coming from somebody whose mother is actually an addict and has gone through that. Well, the thing is, somebody who uses, at least for me, somebody who uses an intoxicant like alcohol, tobacco, or what have you, it doesn't show their character. It does not show their character at all. But now, people use those for one, two reasons. Option one, just to be intoxicated and enjoy the fun moment and get woo. Or two, they're suppressing something so difficult that they cannot face it, and they're using it to escape it. But now, when you have an intoxicant possess you, blind you, making you not think logically and be able to understand, no, I'm in control, not this thing. I need to have more self control. When you don't have that, that's when it can get out of hand and damaging. Because when you're doing energy work on somebody, for an example, me being a sin eater, it really doesn't matter because a sin eater, let me turn that up a little bit. A sin eater, they can go and reach into somebody's energetic field. Hey, the thing is, if you're using it, that's your choice. I have no right to say what you can and can't do. You're in control, you make the choice. But either way, your choice, your decision is the right one. You know what's best. I don't. Because it's your life, not mine. But when you're a sinner, when you're reaching in and you're getting a hold of energy like that, it really doesn't matter because the sin eater can take it, transmute it. But if they're not careful, they can get afflicted with all of that. That's why it's so dangerous. But still. And if you're using too, I would suggest, or even like if you're intoxicated, for that matter, like say, I had it, still, make it known. No, not being being intoxicated and doing occult means you have to be extra careful because the thing is, when you're doing it while intoxicated, your perspective and your viewpoint and how you're comprehending things around you is not grounded. You don't have a stable foundation. Like they like were they intoxicated or were because if they were under the influence, like for an example, probably the one you have to be very careful of are ones that pretty much alter your perception on reality in front of you. Like what's it called? Um I can't remember what it's called. I think it's something that begins with the letter A. I think A. What's it called? But still, now shamanism. That's different. Shamanism does may potentially it may require intoxication by an herb or an herbal mixture. It may require that, but that's now stepping into tradition. When you're stepping into a nationality's tradition, I can't say that you can and cannot do it. That's tradition, and for me, tradition has to be kept like how it is, kept the same and handed down as is, not altered, not changed, preserved and kept the same. That's not negotiable. Like voodoo in Haitian, of course. Well, I mean, the thing is, I come from like a background that's progressive, but at the same time preservative of tradition. I want to progress, but also preserve the past. Because without the past, we don't have our foundation to build upon for the future. And we have most definitely got to keep the ancestral heritage still standing. So that way we can look back and see and start piecing the pieces together while we're moving ahead and link it all back together at the top again. So, but again, a person who's really adept and really skilled, when they're performing energy work, they probably may not even get like phased or altered by it. Well, the thing is, when it comes to spiritual rules, well, for number one, for your spirituality and your best, you have to make the call what's best for you. I can't do it. There's nothing I can do, say, suggest that's the best. Only you know what's best. I can give you options that potentially may help, but only you know what's best. Because this path is about the self and living life to the best for you. Mine is maybe completely different from you. And I can only speak for what I know. And I mean, I'm not a guru figure. If anything, I'm probably far from him. But still, I just give my best out. Because I would know. Well, good. Because that's really how. That's kind of a cheesy, but we'll go with it. Might as well at this point. But still, growth is the main. Yeah, the leader here. The leader of the self is you, not me. You, because the self is actually you. The leader of the self is yourself. The only thing that I can do is just give and reflect suggestions. That's it. Other than that, that's all I got. And most definitely, I am not. I don't know everything, and I don't want to know everything because that would make this life like boring. But still, because if I knew everything, why am I even here? What's the point? If you want to thank anybody, well, don't thank me. Just thank how the planets lined up, especially Saturn on my head. Like, oh, you think you had shit? Sit. Okay. Also, my moon just sitting there alongside of like, well, I'm gonna be like Saturn, so double Saturn hit it to the head. It is what it is. And even though some people would look at my placements and think, you have the poison yoga. So what? What's wrong with it? You have like one of the most painful yogas. Yeah, to you guys you think it's painful, but to me I think it's my best blessing. Yeah, Pluto with Moon, that makes it like the qualities of Moon get like overkilled, but still. Depending on when it's waxing or waning. Waxing Moon, the benefit qualities get overblown. Waning, well, the waning qualities get. So if it's a waxing moon or to a full moon, especially if it's full, oh my good Lord, Lanta, that moon with Pluto is like an overkill of like the purity and the sattva qualities of the moon. Waning, so like there's pretty much a longing for understanding the there's like there's a strong power of having desire for something of the world and taking it in to understand it. That makes sense. If it's waning. And I mean, whether it's sattva or rajasic, because waning moon is rajasic, because waning moon wants to go and grab and experience things on the mundane. But the sattvic wants to experience the highest of the world. But Pluto overkills it. So having a long desire for something of the plane to obtain it, nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's actually driving you to be like, that, I want that. Give me it. I'm going for it. Grab it. That's good because now you have something love tapping you to get it. In fact, that's kind of like with my moon and set my drunk Saturn, going up behind her, be like, you call that crying? Come on. Okay. Come on, woman. Yeah, battery's not included. Still. Anyway. Actually, I'm kind of glad that this also went from like serious to like, let's go a little bit of lighthearted. But still, I mean, this was a fun live. I'm exhausted. I've been live for almost 2 hours and I'm pretty mind blown. I'm going to take my leave, wash myself because I'm a sweating hot mess. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow on another topic. And actually, I'm thinking about doing some like sign readings and, doing the stereotypical tarot reading stuff. But we'll see. See you later.